On this week's edition of the Fatside, we'll recap what was a massive round 16 of AFL football. Boy, were there some blowouts on the weekend, and we're here to dissect everything. All the game results as usual, Bobby and Jack's game of the round, the Fatside MVP votes. Wisdom or Waffle is back and it is here to stay. Bobby's famous hot and cold, compare the pair, and Jack's multi. Bobby, I am ready. Are you?
Ready to roll.
Yes, good evening ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Fatside. I'm joined here by my hombre, as always, Bobby. Bobby, how are you, mate?
Mate, I'm fantastic. It was a very interesting round of AFL football.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. We both enjoyed another victory, and before we do anything...
But you can't beat the boys of the Bulldog breed. We're the team of the mighty West. They'll try their best, but they can't get near as the bombers fly on.
Wasn't that nice again, Bob?
Mate, it was awesome. Another great week for our two clubs. Look, a lot to take away from this week. I've nicknamed it the Israel Folau week, also known as the reality check week.
Blasphemous!
3 of the top 4 teams lost.
Yep.
Alan Richardson will be planning his 2020 retirement. Hutchie copped a reality check from KB.
Oof.
Stewie Jew probably needed 2 large Macca's meals on the way home. Some comfort eating for that fella.
Yeah.
He'll be blown out to reality check town now. I doubt he can see his member in the shower anymore.
Say that again.
You right there, mate?
Sorry. Just picturing Dewey trying to find his member.
My eyes, the goggles do nothing.
Let's get stuck into the rest of the results. Now, Friday night, massive game. Hawthorn down the Pies in a thriller by 4 points. The Hawks have lifted in the last few weeks. That middle-of-the-road tag their coach bestowed on them has finally worn off, and we're seeing some top 8 footy out of Glenferrie again. Mitchell Lewis, I really like this kid. Put the Hawks in front in the 4th. Bruce slotted a pretty crucial goal in his 200th. He ended up with 2 goals too, but Sicily, he was the man all night. 28 at 93% and 14 marks. Surely that's 3 Brownlow votes.
Yeah.
Pies are out of sorts, obviously. Bucks said that they were, quote, bloody embarrassed, and he's not wrong. Good games from Crisp and Phillips, and DeGoey looked fairly lethal whenever he got near it, but Grundy could not dominate McAvoy like he does with the others, and quiet games from plenty of other Pies players, probably see some of them being axed during the week. Saturday, my boys, the Bombers, they balanced the ledger for the season against the post-scaling, cola-swindling posh toffs from Sydney, the Swans. Dyson Heppel was laid out for us, and I got really nervous at that point, to be honest. But like last week, a big last quarter effort from my boys, the Red and Black transpired. We grabbed the 4 points, put away an inaccurate Sydney outfit. Both teams enjoyed coughing up the pill pretty much all day, but the Bombers capitalised more, scoring plus 4 goals from turnovers. Zaharakis had his best game of the year, 22 touches and 3 goals. Shield was busy with 29 and 9 tackles, but his kicking was a bit shameful at times. Heaney, particularly, along with Lloyd and Kennedy, all had 30-plus games and were excellent for the Swans. But Luke Parker's hot run was cooled off during another episode of Bath Time with Clarkey.
Clarkey.
Dylan Clarkey kept the Swans' gun to 19 touches after a few hot weeks from Luke Parker. However, Parker did manage 2 snags, including a late one to give his team a sniff, so he did have a decent game. Then Richmond, back to their best against a very strong Neefle team. Last time I saw a Rogering that intense, I had an incognito browser open. Jokes aside, though, the Suns, they were pathetic. Last week, you said St Kilda was the easiest rollover you'd ever seen, potentially. It only took 6 days to find a worse effort. The Tigers dominated the Suns from siren to siren. The halftime scoreline of 19 to 103, that is video game stuff. In the end, it was a 92-point win to Richmond and goal scorers everywhere. Castagna, Lynch, Lambert, but Cotchin was probably the Tigers' best. He did only have 27, but he did have 6 clearances. The captain seems to be back, and conversely, Swallow was strong for the Suns. He had 37 clearances and 8 inside 50s.
Now, just quickly, I do owe my good friend Paddy an apology. He wasn't happy with our description of Saints, the easiest rollover last week. And,
Your description?
Yeah, my description, sorry. Yeah, so Paddy, it's a nice little public Fatside apology to you, mate, because it wasn't the easiest rollover. We'll get to your first quarter from this week later down the track. Anyway, Bob, continue.
Like we're saying, the season's gone from great for the Suns to good, where they were being competitive, and it skipped bad and it has gone straight to deplorable.
Yeah.
But the Tigers, they look like they might be actually ready to threaten again in the back end of the year, so good news for their fans. Then we had the big showdown. It was a massive letdown. The air got taken out of it at halftime as Port Power ended up crushing Adelaide 101-44. Shaped up as a classic during the first half, but Port Adelaide applied the Jets, and the Crows' inaccuracy early cost them their lowest score in a showdown ever. Wow. And their confidence fell apart before the fourth. 6 goals 3 to 1 goal 1 in the third was where the damage was done. Boak injured himself in the warm-up. He was replaced by Pal Pepper, who, although he was a bit sloppy, actually had some endeavour. Rocky and Wines responded. They both had 30+, but Robbie Gray, he claimed his 5th showdown medal, 35 touches, 10 clearances and 6 inside 50s. This puts Port into the 8, but the Crows are teetering at 8th position after 2 straight losses. No standouts for them at all.
Now, Bob, I did hear the question posed on nearly every football show on Monday night and every radio program. Is Robbie Gray the greatest Port Adelaide player of all time?
Not yet, but he's getting close.
Yes, absolutely. We did touch on this off air, and we still feel Gavin Wanganeen and Warren Treadray are just a bit ahead of him at the moment.
Yeah, a lot of that's just legacy stuff.
Yeah.
Potentially by the end, he might have them covered.
Yeah, agreed.
Look, for the Crows, not a lot of good news, like I said. However, Riley O'Brien, he's doing his job every week. I love seeing this young kid play football. He was up against Lieutenant Lysette, who had a great game, to be honest, but they nearly broke even for me. For Port, Darcy Byrne-Jones had a great night in Port colours. He had 31 disposals, and in the end, Don Pike was apologising post-match for the performance.
Yep.
Staggering to see that. Then, the boys in red, white, and blue. Look, they swung the axe at the top of the tree. Cats, eventual winners by 16 points. The return of the fighting spirit that we intimated had come back last week held true, and the Dogs simply outplayed, outpaced, and outworked the Cats. Huge efforts on the night from Stevic, Brown, and McInerney.
Oh, dear.
Seriously, the boys in green were hard not to notice, but these things happen to every club at some point.
Hey,
Geelong,
first to the ball, mate. First to the ball.
Well, Geelong do need to look inward for the answers in how they lost that one, in my opinion. The Cats' leading possession getters were Tui with 30, Stewart with 24, followed by Danger, TK and Selwood, whereas for the Dogs, they were led by McRae, 34, Hunter, 32, Dunkley and Bont, 27. In essence, the midfield battle wasn't close. The Dogs by the length of a liver bender.
That's a long one.
A long bender. Oof. Astro Norton slotted 4 fine majors. Sam Lloyd, your boy, added 3.
Yeah.
And the Bont continued his classy run of best on ground honours for me. In the Hoops Brigade, Danger led by example as usual. He had 6 marks, 2 contested, 2 goals, 1. Tim Kelly led the clearances with 7. But G. Ryan, G. Ablett, and G. R3, they all deserve to be on milk cartons by the end of it. They went missing all night.
Now, I can mention one Geelong Cats member who was on fire that night, and it wasn't on the ground. Ali was fuming. There was flames in her eyes. There was smoke from her hair, and she didn't say a word for a good hour, and I was in the doghouse. But the 4 points is more important in those sort of circumstances. So.
Yeah, we've got our priorities correct here at the Fatside. Now, for those of you that flicked over to the late game on Saturday, well, it was end-of-the-world stuff for one team. Fremantle completely fell to bits against an up-and-about West Coast who trampled the Purple Posers by 91 points. Rollover is an understatement, mate. This is Bermuda Triangle scale disappearance, since the Dockers are still a top 8 team at that point. Ross, the boss, said he couldn't defend the indefensible. Well, none of his team were able to defend either. The Eagles rattled home 10 first-half goals to 1. The game finished with 19-8 by the Eagles and 2 goals, 19 to the Dockers. Granted, about 5 or 6 of those were rushed, but still, that's deplorable for an AFL team.
Rubbish.
On a slippery deck, to boot as well. Major performances by Shepherd, who took home the Glendenning Allen Medal. Nick Nat, wow, it's only taken him 2 weeks to rediscover his superstar status. He climbed all over the top of Sandilands. Jared Cameron, the young fellow who grabbed 4 snags, and Jack Darling had 3 contested marks and 4 goals. Fremantle players don't rate a mention, to be honest, so I'll move straight on. The early Sunday slot was filled with a marvellous clash between the Blues and the D's. Melbourne held off a surging fourth quarter Carlton to win by 5 measly points after a late match winner to Jaden Hunt. McGovern had a chance to win for the Blue Baggers, but his toe poke found the post, and that was all she wrote. The D's won most of the key stats, and top marks to T-Mac, who subsequently he'll be out for the year with what looked like a pretty bad knee injury.
A real shame. Yeah.
Not an ACL, they've said, which is great
that's
news.
Good. Yeah, meniscus tear. Yeah.
He was the match winner. 6 goals too. Big Bruce, who I thought would get run over the top of by Cruiser, he was actually pretty good stepping up for Maxi Gawn. He took Cruiser to task. He had 44 hitouts, 5 marks. Petrarca, he managed 3 goals, 1 from his 18 touches, building on a pretty good back half of the year. For the Blues, great signs of development with Silvani. Another good week in a row. He had 3 goals. Ed Curnow had 23, 11 tackles, 7 inside 50s. And Nick Newman's defensive play kept them in the hunt again this week. He had 12 rebound 50s from his 26 disposals. Then we moved down to Blundstone Arena, where North took apart Sandringham. Sorry, Paddy, but to be honest, mate, to be fair, the Saints were there, but their ticker wasn't. 7 goals, 5 to 1 goal, 1 by quarter time, and the day was done. North ended up winning by 39 points. Massive rewards for the Roos young forwards. Larkey and Zerha both bagged 5 majors. Larkey took home the Rising Star nom this week, and Simpkin carried his form along with 36 and 9 clearances.
Yeah, wonderful.
Zeeble added 2 goals and 24, whilst Goldie did some fine work in the middle. I liked his 39 hitouts and 7 clearances. Some Saints fellas actually showed up for the fight. Jack Steele had 18 tackles.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And
yeah,
Josh
fantastic.
Bruce bagged 6 straight. He was fantastic.
He was clunking everything too. Yeah, he looked very good.
I really liked Luke Dunstan's game as well. He showed some serious promise, 27 touches and 6 clearances, but that effort is most definitely the beginning of the Fat Ladies melody for Alan Richardson.
Yeah, it feels that way.
Last game of the round, and what a doozy. Brisbane. And you said it, Jacko, they've arrived. They downed GWS at home by 20 points in a convincing win away. First victory in New South Wales since 2009, I believe. First ever win against the Giants at home. Charlie Cameron grabbed a snag less than a minute into the game, and the Lions never lost the lead. Led by Lachie Neale, who found a perfect partner in crime with Lincoln McCarthy all day.
Yep.
Playing off each other's strengths, where McCarthy ended up with 22 and 3 goals won. Neale had 31 touches, 7 clearances, and a goal of his own. Good games from the Zork and McCluggage, but Harris Andrews, he is a legit superstar.
Yep.
His bodywork down back was superb. He had 9 intercept possessions and 3 contested. For the Giants, a pretty big effort from Cornelio. Half a leg, still got 34, 11 tackles and 9 clearances. Zach Williams, he was really busy in defence, 28, and Himmelberg ended up with 4 snags, but an injury to Josh Kelly in the 4th, which has been confirmed as a calf. He'll be out for 3 to 4.
Yeah.
And that could really compound things for the GWS Giants.
I've just got one little special mention, and I touched on him in my, I believe, spotlight last week. Majak Daw made a successful return to VFL football on the weekend against Sandringham. He played 20 minutes in the first quarter. They were just getting just really light work, just get him on the ground and get him back out there to have a feel for the game. He took home 4 disposals and 1 really nice contested mark. Looked a bit rusty, but from all accounts, he's pulled up well, and it was just great to see him out there. And a big crowd show up to Arden Street. The first televised game at Arden Street, might I add, in 35 years. So, yeah, back to the home of North Melbourne footy. So, yeah, good on you, Madge, and keep going, buddy.
Yeah, it's a great news story. Well, that's a wrap of the results, Jacko. So tell me, what tickled your cerebral cortex? What is the game of the round from this weekend for you?
Well, my game of the round was the game where I announced to the Fatside universe last week that I believed Brisbane would arrive and announce themselves to play some September footy this year, and they did just that. My game of the round is the Greater Western Sydney Giants and the Brisbane Lions. The hot-firing Lions went roaring down to Giants Stadium Sunday evening to take on the GWS Giants in what was shaping to be the opportunity for the Lions to Stamped their papers for September football, and they did just that. Brisbane were more committed, more polished, and more organised from the start, and just picked away at the Giants all night. They booted the first 2 goals early and never looked back. They ended up defeating the Giants away from home by 20 points. The Brisbane Lions, as I mentioned, have arrived, and they will be playing September football this year. And as a result, they leapfrogged the Giants to 4th position on the ladder as well after 16 rounds, which is just remarkable considering where they were 12 months ago. For the Brisbane Lions, Lachie Neale led from the front all day with another impressive 31 disposal game. Harris Andrews, as you mentioned before, is just an absolute superstar and will be for the next decade. Yeah, he was sensational down back for the Brisbane Lions. Zorko was busy all day in the middle, and Lincoln McCarthy, and as you mentioned, Lincoln McCarthy linked up beautifully with Neale all day and banked himself 3 majors.
Now, I must say on Lincoln McCarthy, I only heard this story maybe yesterday.
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe his grandfather died.
Yes.
During the week, and so that game was supposed to be in honour of the death in the family. Huge effort.
Yeah.
Like one of the best games of his career.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what a great way to honour someone that's passed away.
Yeah, and absolutely. And in case our listeners don't know, and maybe you're not aware of it either, Bob, Lachie Neale and Lincoln McCarthy actually grew up together, playing a lot of basketball, a lot of footy together. So no wonder they linked up beautifully. They've known each other for a very long time.
Short basketball team.
Yeah, I know. Lincoln McCarthy was not at the 5. Look, to be honest, it really went from bad to worse for the Giants as the game rolled on. Their absolute superstar midfielder, Josh Kelly, went down with a calf, as you mentioned previously, Bob. Stephen Coniglio looked absolutely fantastic early. Just before half-time, he had banked 21 disposals and 6 tackles, but just short of the main break, he hobbled down to the rooms, which didn't look good. But as you mentioned, bravely returned in the third to help try and salvage a late run back for the Giants, but it just wasn't to be for the Giants, and the Lions ran away with a 20-point victory. And as you mentioned, it was their first win in Sydney since 2009. It was their second since 2003 in Sydney.
I know, amazing.
It's just incredible. But look, Brisbane Lions fans, get excited. This is the start of something really special. And it's really nice to be seeing Brisbane Lions return to finals footy. Anyway, Bob, hit us up with round 16's game of the round for you.
Yeah, mate. Well, my game of the round, I've taken the South Australia showdown, Adelaide versus Port Adelaide. This game means a lot in the context of the ladder order and the shape of finals for both teams, not to mention for the teams below who are praying for a few form slumps. Adelaide have slid from 5th to 8th with 2 consecutive L's. Port have risen in the rankings to hold 7th with a healthy percentage, and I'm at odds to figure out if one or both of these teams make or miss the finals.
Could be our boys replacing them at the minute.
Just turn it up.
Get your hand off it there.
Now, the game itself, it doesn't really require much dissection, but it's what the result means for the rest of the year, for not only these two, but for everyone else. I said earlier at the mid-season review, I think Port make it on percentage alone. I had the Crows sitting 6th at the end of the year. They have the Suns this week, then they have the Bombers in Adelaide, Carlton away, then they have the Saints in Adelaide. That could comfortably be 4 wins in a row for Adelaide, and then they would be probably sitting 6th.
Yes.
With a half-decent percentage.
We suspect they could blow 2 to 3 of those teams out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Power, though, however, they face the task of turning this victory into a season-defining moment. They can shake the inconsistency tag, and if they can amass a positive win-loss for the remainder of the year, I think they have a real chance to stay in the top 8. It will be difficult, though. They don't face a team below 10th for the rest of the year. So it's going to be very tough. I think Ken Hinkley is looking forward beyond this season and building something more sustainable. I heard some of his comments post-match. I think he's really bullish on the fact that they are playing a lot of kids, which is a fantastic point.
Yeah.
Of course, they're going to go hard each week still, you'd hope, but I get the sense that internally they think a premiership window is opening for them for the next few years. What I did learn from the showdown, Robbie Gray is starting to be counted amongst the greatest Port players, like you mentioned. Like we both agree on, it's not yet, but he's getting close. Lycett is a far better quality ruckman than I had anticipated.
Yep.
I obviously didn't give him enough attention when he was at West Coast. I didn't see it. I think he can be a top 5 ruckman next year.
Yep.
I think he can be extremely damaging. I reckon they trade Paddy Ryder.
Yep.
100%, because if you've got Lieutenant Lycett, Dixon could pinch hit. Westhoff can pinch hit, has pinch hitted before. They've probably got that covered. So
Oh, I've got a red, white and blue jersey waiting for Paddy Ryder if she wants it.
the other thing I learned is the Port recruiters are the best in the league. Their 3 first rounders in Rosie, Butters and Dersma are playing like 50 gamers.
Yeah,
Every
fantastic.
single one of them. They didn't bugger up a single pick. And considering some of the horror fables of Tambling-esque proportions that can happen to teams, to have nailed 3 first-round picks, nailed them.
Yeah.
That's a massive achievement. Adelaide, they have the success yips, is my conclusion. They get close to success and then they falter. And the curse of 2017 has not
Yeah, it lives on.
lifted
Yeah.
at all. The talent is there, but it's aging. I had a good look at their list during the week. Betts is done.
Yeah.
We know that.
Yeah.
Walker is barely a walk-up start anymore, to be quite honest with you.
He almost called himself out this week.
Absolutely.
He did. Yeah.
Sauce Jacobs, we might never see him again because of Riley O'Brien.
Yep.
Gibbs is gone, obviously. Richie Douglas, Andy Otten, David McKay, and Jenkins are all in their 30s.
That's crazy.
The youth isn't producing like Ports or anyone else's, really. Galucci, Paholke, Fogarty, Himmelberg, those names can barely keep themselves in that team each week.
Yep.
The Crows are on the wrong side of the hill, and they're sliding fast. So this year is maybe their last gasp, and the weekend showed me why they are not a team to be taken seriously in the future.
And they will not win the premiership this year. No
Absolutely
way.
not.
No.
So that's my game of the round, mate. So that leads us every week into the votes.
Alrighty, Bob. I'll kick us off with the Fatside MVP votes, 1 to 5. 1 vote goes to your boy, David Zaharakis. Really impressive game. He notched 22 disposals, 3 snags, and he was at 73%. And he was fantastic. He played well all day. My 2 votes goes to Brisbane's Lachie Neale. 31 disposals, 16 of them contested, 7 clearances, 6 tackles. Pretty stock standard game for Lachie Neale. Just
Yep.
as we mentioned with Tim Kelly last week, he just keeps rolling.
True.
Just keeps rolling. My 3 votes goes to, I say it every week, the Lord Messiah, the God, the owner of Footscray Town, Marcus Bontempelli. Another serviceable, beautiful, brilliant... Sorry, I'm pumping him up way too much here now. But yeah, look, another great game from the Bont. 27 disposals, 5 clearances, 6 tackles, 651 metres gained. But it was the constant leadership and the constant 1%ers and efforts that he puts in week in, week out. My 4 votes goes to the 5-time showdown medalist, Robbie Gray. He had 35 disposals, 16 of them contested also. 9 score involvements. We touch on score involvements like, it could have been the start of his... But look, he's involved, and he was involved strongly all day, led from the front. Although he was running at 60% efficiency, he was busy all day, and he was putting in all the hard yards. My 5 votes... Okay, my 5 votes couldn't go to anyone else. It's Hawthorn's James Sicily.
Mama, there goes that man.
28 disposals at 93%. And I believe there was 20-odd kicks and a couple of handballs. So that kicking is elite. 10 intercept possessions, 7 rebound 50s, and a defensive game-winning performance. He was sensational to watch, and he behaved himself too. So good on you, Sicily. Bobby, your votes, mate.
All right, well, I'll hit you with my first vote. It's Jai Simpkin.
Yeah, nice.
Look, 36, 1 goal, 9 clearances. It was all done in 77% time on ground. That's amazing effort. His disposal efficiency needed a little bit of a boost. It was only 63, but he's building nicely. And he's allowing Cunners and Co, the other midfielders, a bit of a rest out of the middle. They don't have to carry the entire load. So loving what he's putting out. My 2 votes goes to your boy, Marcus Bontempelli.
Hey.
17 of his 27 touches were contested. That's really what I liked. Maybe the best forward entry midfielder in the game, Marcus Bontempelli. Yep. He set the tone last week, and he backed it up with a best on ground and another tone-setting performance against the number 1 team for a second week in a row. I love it. He's the next James Hird. Might even call him Sir Markeith Belafonte. But my 3 votes, it goes to Tom McDonald. He did nearly exact the same damage that he did a few weeks ago.
I can't believe I've forgotten Tom McDonald.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Look, he quietened down last week, but
Yeah.
he returned and lit up the MCG. 20 touches, 6 goals, 5 marks inside 50. And all of this was done in 67% time on ground before his bad knee injury. He's clearly going to be one to watch. It would seem laughable to Melbourne supporters that Wiedemann was asking for money when this guy can do this. So my 4 votes.
Might get money at Norwood or somewhere next year. But, yeah.
My 4 votes goes to Robbie Gray, same as you. The stoppage work. I was speechless.
Yeah.
Obviously, I rewatched the game in full to do it for my Game of the Round review. We've seen him do this for years, and when he turns it on, it's a riveting highlight package. He led the game in contested possessions. He also led the game in clearances. I know the disposal efficiency was down a little bit, but he did the dirty work. And without that dirty work, they would never have put the Crows to the sword, against their deepest rival. He's a proven match winner. He's an all-round star, and I'm loving seeing him bob up and contribute week in, week out. My 5 votes, it has to go to James Sicily.
Mama, there goes that man.
14 marks, 5 of which are contested. Clearly he's an all-Australian defender.
Yep.
I asked you a couple of weeks ago if Clarko's worst on-field move was Sicily forward.
Yeah.
Case closed, Your Honour.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He's a class above.
Laughable move.
Yeah, laughable. Yeah. He's, match-winning defensive effort. Don't know what Clarko was thinking. Please never move him again. He might be one of the highest vote getters in the Brownlow as a defender if he can churn this out week in, week out.
Well, it proves the Darcy Moore-James Sicily debate, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And he's been part of his club's revival into
Yeah.
what is looking like top 8 football coming from Hawthorn. So well done, James Sicily. Fantastic effort. Now we'll flick across to the leaderboard and have a look at how the Fatside MVP votes are stacking up. Well, it's Brodie Grundy still leading the way on 27, followed closely by Patrick Cripps. Lachie Neale has crept up. He's up at 23. And then back from him, we have Tim Kelly, Lachie Whitfield, Paddy Dangerfield, Michael Walters, Steve Coniglio. Some clear separation from the pack from Brodie Grundy, Paddy Cripps, and Lachie Neale.
Yep.
Cripps doing nicely considering he's had a couple of weeks off.
I'd say they're three of the 4 Brownlow favourites to date anyway. You throw in Tim Kelly with them, and they're probably your 4 Brownlow favourites, I'd say. So, yeah, absolutely. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the week. It's my favourite time of the week. It's Wisdom or Waffle.
You cannot be serious! I am smart. S-M-R-T.
All right, Jackie boy, I know you love this heaps, so I'll let you kick it off. Why don't you give me your first one?
Alrighty, my first Wisdom or Waffle, Bob. Mitch McGovern is not giving the Blues enough consistently and hasn't lived up to their expectations yet.
Wisdom. He's had 1 or 2 good games, but that's it.
Yeah.
I think they thought that he was a much better player than that.
Yep.
In a game where they kick a ton, and he wasn't really a huge contributor.
Yeah.
He's not giving them enough.
Yeah.
All right, Jackie boy, this one's from me.
Yep.
Wisdom or Waffle. Geelong should consider trading Tim Kelly for Brad Hill and maybe a pick swap just to sweeten it.
Waffle. In no way, shape or form should they even think about doing that or losing Tim Kelly. They should be throwing the keys to Geelong at that man. They've got to keep him, in my estimation. He is one of the key reasons why they sit on top of the ladder. He's dominated all year. He's possibly this year's Brownlow medalist. We'll wait and see. However, Brad, I'm not going to take anything away from Brad Hill, and a pick would be handy, but to me, in that Geelong team, he's irreplaceable.
So the idea is because there was some rumours during the week that Brad Hill's partner might be a bit homesick and want to go back to Melbourne.
Yeah.
And we've heard that about Tim Kelly for 2 years now.
Yes. Yeah.
So instead of losing him for nothing, would a sign and trade be a better idea?
Well, yeah, I mean, that would be the best option if that was to come about, but I wouldn't be. I'd be doing everything in my power to keep Tim Kelly in the hoops.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Bob. Wisdom or Waffle? This is from the lips of the Duck, the King, Wayne Carey. The Gold Coast Suns should get the priority pick, only on the condition that they must trade it for a senior talent.
Ooh. Oh. See, here's the thing. Yeah. I think they need senior talent. I'm going to say Wisdom.
Yeah.
Because I don't see how else they get senior talent.
No.
How are you
don't have trade bait.
How are you going to recruit someone to Metricon Stadium?
Yeah.
No one wants to go to Metricon Stadium, not even the fans.
No.
So, yeah, I'm going to say that's Wisdom, because if that's the only way they get proper senior elite AFL veteran talent into their team, then yeah. Correct. Well done, Duck.
Yeah.
All right, mate, the next one. This is care of Alistair Lynch. The Gold Coast Suns are so far from being a legitimate team, it's time for an AFL intervention.
Wisdom. This is a basket case. This is 9 years old now. Look at the GWS Giants, for instance. Player retention's quite similar. So, player retention in the New South Wales, in the rugby league states is a real issue. And the Gold Coast, apart from your free theme park pass, and the surf, there's not a lot to do up there unless you like getting filthy on Cavill Ave, but you can't do that during the footy season. So that's wisdom for me, and the AFL really need to take action. As we all know what the AFL are like, they're not going to give up on this, and they could be a basket case for another decade.
Oh, they probably think it's going great.
Yeah, probably. And to be honest, I still hold the... they had 10 wins, and I think they sat 12th on the ladder, and they were looking all right, and then they got rid of Bluey McKenna. That was the beginning of the end. Bobby, wisdom or waffle? On the assumption that John Longmire lands at Arden Street in 2020, Rhys Shaw's impressive 4-1 win-loss start at North could possibly land Shaw a senior coaching role as soon as next year.
Waffle.
Yeah, okay.
I
was very, very ambitious on that one.
But
it's worth the question.
It's a year early.
Yeah.
That's all. So not next year. I think 2021, that's fine. I think John Longmire would be silly not to keep Rhys Shaw in the coach's box.
Yes.
Next to him for at least 1 year. And if that's a little bit of an extension of an apprenticeship for Rhys Shaw, and then he's ready to rock and roll, I think his name will still be bandied around in the media if other clubs are looking for coaches. Don Pike might come into the equation. Ken Hinkley might come into the equation. To be honest, if the Giants slide and then fail to produce Leon Cameron in 2 years, might come into the equation. John Worsfold certainly. So there'll be plenty of positions open up in the next few years, I think.
It's a shame no one will get their hands on Luke Beveridge, but anyway.
All right, this one's from me, Jacko. The form slump of the top teams currently and the rising up of some of the slow starters is proof that the season is too long. In essence, it requires too much energy to stay at the top all year. What round are we up to?
Round 16. Round 17 this week.
So if every team played each other once,
we'd be
finals time.
Finals time. Wisdom. Thanks for that. I would have sat here for 20 minutes thinking about that. That's a really good one. It could go either way, really. But look, Collingwood. I'm going to use an example of Collingwood. Yeah, their last month of football, not great. Terrible mid-season slump.
Yep.
And it's almost it's the collywobbles. They're truly the collywobbles at the moment. However, I'm not giving up on them just yet. I'm using them as an example.
Well, GWS's last 2 weeks have been bad.
They've been bad. Yeah. Geelong are going to be okay. They've got a really cushy ride
Adelaide
home.
have slid from 5th to 8th.
Yeah. So I'll say wisdom. I think the season is too long. I think even the most experienced legs are losing touch with with the length of the season. They're getting fatigued. Yeah. Gee, that was tough. See, I couldn't even answer it properly. I sounded like a grade 6 student.
Kane Corns.
Kane Corns. Nah, I didn't sound that bad. Wisdom or waffle, Bob? Mike Sheehan declared Joel Selwood the greatest player of the decade. Quote, when the big moments demand someone, it has to be Joel Selwood. Thoughts?
Yeah, look, I heard this, might have been 3 or 4 days ago, and thought a lot about it. I can't agree. That's not to say that he's far off.
No.
But
it is waffle, though.
Yeah, I can't agree with that. I mean, Buddy Franklin arguably could go down as the greatest full forward of all time.
Yep.
In some people's books, he's right up there.
Yeah.
Gary Ablett Jr. for me is the greatest player I've ever seen.
Yep.
And he is still playing great football.
Yep.
So I don't know how you pluck Joel Selwood out of a mix. He's not the number one guy in his position.
Yeah.
He's not even close to the best Geelong player that's ever played the game.
No.
So I don't know how he becomes the best player of a decade.
He's probably top 3 courageous up there with Archer.
Oh, yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah,
we can talk about that.
We can talk about that all day.
Best player of a decade.
Yeah, no.
I don't even know if he's got Pendles covered, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of guys that have played really good football for a decade.
And he's just recently retired, but Jimmy Bartell, he was playing on the same team as him. He's a big game player than Joel Selwood.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so waffle. And I'm gonna put my 2 cents in and say waffle. Mike Sheehan, you're too old, mate.
All right, the next one comes from Chris Scott. The skill level, notably kicking, of players playing now is much better than 15 to 20 years ago.
Absolute bollocks waffle.
I don't know. I'll tell you how he phrased it. Did you hear this quote?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Obviously, he phrased it in the sense that every disposal is coming with much more applied pressure than whatever occurred 15 to 20 years ago. I understand that. Yeah. The kicking accuracy for goal is the worst it's been
deplorable
in 2 decades or more.
Yeah.
So I don't know how he came to that conclusion.
Yeah, no, it's waffle because of football this day and age is so system based and it's overcoached in my opinion. And I feel players are so well they're in two minds whether to do this with the ball or that with the ball because they're trying to stick to the system and they're overthinking every possession. If there was a bit more fluency and a bit more instinct, then the skill level would be a lot better. I think it all comes down to the overcoaching of the game. And did you see your coach's box on the weekend? Had 19 laptops and about 40 people sitting in it, and John Worsfold was sitting on the bench. It's remarkable. It's remarkable. It's it's terribly overcoached, and that's why the skills are down because they're second guessing their own ability. Bobby, wisdom or waffle? Gold Coast are crying out for a veteran leader, sort of a Luke Hodge setup. Ruffy was rumoured to go up there. He's come out and said he's not interested. But Hawthorn are going to be looking to move on a few players, and this man wants to play on. Is Sean Burgoyne the perfect fit to go up there for at least 12 months?
No.
Okay.
Waffle. Not the perfect fit.
Yeah.
A good fit.
A good fit.
Not a perfect fit.
Hang on, did I say... Oh, jeez, I said perfect fit, but I actually wrote down good fit.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
cool.
then...
So good fit.
Good fit's a little bit closer to the truth,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I think they could use someone like Silk to show them about professionalism,
Yep.
match preparation, obviously maintaining his body. He's an expert at that.
Yep.
The skill level
Yeah.
that's required of an AFL player. There's a lot that he can show. Although Burgoyne has never been spoken about as a natural leader, ever. Regardless of what clubs he's been at.
Yeah.
He's more of a lead by example, break the game apart type of player, which I love. Andy McLeod was the same. Wasn't a natural sort of, general. They need a general.
Yeah.
I think, this is not to say he's gettable, but someone like a Jack Zeeble
Yeah.
wouldn't necessarily be required to carry the entire workload, but still has enough half-decent footy left in him that he could be up there for 3 to 4 years. I don't think Burgoyne's got 3 to 4 years.
Nah. The next bloke I was going to mention probably doesn't even have another year. But Jared McVeigh, if he could get his body right, he'd be... do you reckon? Do you reckon he'd be...
I don't know.
Yeah. He doesn't have much footy left in him at all.
I think they'll have to dangle the carrot of a...
Godfather deal? Like a Godfather offer?
Potentially... Not a Godfather offer, but the carrot of if you come up here, you can sit here and you can do your coaching apprenticeship and get looked after. The deal that West Coast offered Sam Mitchell before he reneged.
Yeah.
That type of deal.
Okay, yeah.
They have to try something like that because I don't know what they do otherwise.
Yeah.
All right, mate, this is my last one. This is from me.
Yep.
It's a bit left field. Round 16 was the highest total crowd number since round 1. In this area, the AFL are striking it lucky rather than fixturing brilliantly.
Wisdom. I'm going to say wisdom because I reckon the GWS... I mean, at the start of the season, we didn't know where Brisbane were at, but they deserve... That game should have been a little bit more prime time than Sunday Twilight. So the fixturing wasn't all that great. Hawthorn-Collingwood was an underwhelming fixture. Well, based on form, it wasn't, but But it was somewhat underwhelming for a Friday night.
They got lucky.
Yeah.
By all predictions at the start of the year, Melbourne should have been a top 4, top 6 team playing 18th on the weekend, but instead it was a tight contest.
How the showdown is on a Saturday Twilight is beyond me, and on Fox. That
Insane.
should be plastered on Channel 7 every single time they play. It should be nationwide, Channel 7, Friday or Saturday night.
Happened last year too.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And so definitely the way the season's shaping. That's why more bums in seats. Alrighty, this isn't one of mine because I've capped all my wisdom or waffles this week, but I'm going to open a little discussion here because we like touching on this absolute degenerate knobhead. Kane Corns. We're dealing with hypotheticals here a bit, but out of Kane Corn's stupid mouth, once again, has now insisted Carlton made the correct decision, going against his word from a month ago saying that they took the safe option, selecting Sam Walsh at the number 1 pick. He's now saying it was the correct decision selecting Sam Walsh. However, he declared Connor Rozee will be the better player.
Yeah, he said clearly.
Clearly as well. The
better player.
Strong language.
Yeah, it's-
from a biased Port Adelaide man.
Oh, so biased.
And he
It's
claims he's not biased, but it seems to always be a Port Adelaide player.
interesting that he interviews
Yeah.
his dad and his brother all the time.
Yeah, it's the only people he can get on his show. Ask Taylor Walker, mate. See how that goes down. Maybe a boxing match.
Oh, he'd
For
give
charity.
He'd give him a Jorge Masvidal knee to the head.
Oh, boy, that was big, wasn't it,
Brutal.
mate?
Look, it's the language that he's trying to ram down the listeners' throats to justify his. It was a dumb thing to say. He knows it's a dumb thing to say, and he's clearly that type of guy that will move heaven and earth to make sure that it's drilled into people's heads that he's not wrong. The use of the word clearly.
Yeah.
I said to you, I don't know what crystal ball he's looking at. I wouldn't mind borrowing it for a little bit, because if he's saying clearly that Connor Rozee would be better than Sam Walsh, my God.
Yeah.
Sydney Stack might be better than Connor Rozee.
Yeah.
Like
Aaron Norton.
Aaron Norton might be better than Connor Rozee.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mights, ifs, buts, maybes in there.
Connor Blakey.
Yeah, and he's saying stuff like clearly and, obviously and things like that. So
Xavier. The list goes on. These are all just debates.
yeah,
But,
there's quality kids everywhere in this draft. We said last week in Wisdom and Waffle, is this the most stacked or best talent crop of rising stars, young draftees for a decade?
Yeah.
And I think we were pretty close to Wisdom on that. So it's really hard to make that bold prediction and act like you're a genius, because I really Charlie Dixon
Yeah.
came in at round 14. Connor Rozee wouldn't have been producing the way he's been producing had Charlie Dixon been there all year.
Yeah.
He would have had to work around him. He may not have even been plunked in the forward line. So it's really difficult to say that this kid's found his spot and this is where he'll be for 15 years.
Yeah. Just a quick one. Alan Richardson's gone, isn't he? That's it. That has to be. There's no coming back from that.
Yeah, I mean, we said that. I think you said that his papers were stamped
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago. I think his papers were stamped at the bye,
Yeah.
to be quite honest with you.
Yeah. Doesn't bode well for him where the general manager of football operations, Simon Lefland, sits next to him on game day.
Yeah, like a hawk. I mean, you could read a lot into it. You can read nothing into it, but it does look a little bit odd. You don't see that a lot from other clubs, so...
And just his all-round body language hasn't changed since he was a development coach at Carlton. He just sits there and smiles, Alan Richardson, so he doesn't show much, does he?
No, he shows bugger all, to be quite honest with you.
Anyway, moving on. Ladies and gentlemen, like every week, it's Bobby's famous Hot and Cold.
All right, each week I challenge Jack to guess the mercury of some players. Last week, for my running hot, I gave him the Zork. The Zork needed to get 28 and 4 scoring plays. He had 26 and 2 points. That's a froth champion. The other one I gave you was Jack Redden. He needed 28 5 clearances. You said yes, he had 25 and 5 clearances. Close, but that's a froth.
Yeah, I owe you 9 now, I think.
You do.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
We're not done yet, mate.
Oh,
Now,
Jesus.
my running hot this week.
He's heating up. He's on fire.
Jarman Impey. He has lifted since the start of the year.
Yep.
I should know. I had him in my Supercoach team and then kicked him. His first month, he averaged 15 touches at 72%, a couple of rebound 50s, a couple of inside 50s, didn't score anything. Last month, he's been in Hawthorn's best multiple times. He's averaging 22 at 81%, 4 rebound 50s, 4 inside 50s, so he's doubled those key arc stats, and he's kicked 3 goals, 1. The impact of those extra disposals is a visual one that you'd have to take in from watching the game. I want to know if you think he can keep it rolling versus Freo. Can he get 20 plus and 1 goal?
Yeah, absolutely. Fremantle are dead and gone. It's in Tassie. Yeah, they'll towel Fremantle up in Tassie, and Jarman Impey will have a day out. So, yes, for me, Bob.
Very good. All right, my next one, running hot.
He's heating up. He's on fire.
Jack Silvani.
Yes. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
Look, plenty been said about this kid.
Yeah.
Average 17 the last 2 weeks versus 11 year to date. 3 clearances versus less than 1 year to date. Another player where the visual is what you need to take in to understand the change in impact. The possessions don't go up by a huge amount, but his contribution has lifted significantly. They've got the Swans this week. Can he get 15 touches and 1 goal?
Yes.
Lock it in. Yeah, Carlton seem like they're on a bit of a roll, so...
I might just add, you said Carlton are on a roll. I was watching the front bar last week, and I couldn't agree any more with Fitzy. He filled in for Sam Pang. It was fantastic. they're on such a roll that they could find themselves finishing 16th. Yeah, fantastic.
Now, last week, I gave you a little bit of a bonus running hot. I gave you the Shaq attack. I said he kicked 3 2 weeks in a row. I only asked for 2 goals. You said he kicked 3, had nothing.
Yeah.
Now,
Baron Norton wasn't so selfish.
my running cold last week, I gave you Heath Shaw. I asked for 20 touches at 75% from his huge drop-off. He had 13 touches at 84%, and you picked under the line, so well done. That's minus a froth for you, Jackie boy.
Guilty.
My other one was David Mundy. He had a significant drop-off in the last month. He needed to get 70% efficiency and 5 clearances. You backed the old warhorse. Unfortunately, his team didn't show up. He had 18 touches at 55% and 3 clearances, so that'll cost you as well. Now, for my running cold this week.
You're as cold as ice.
Jack Nunes. Now, I had him in my running cold a few weeks ago. He was the player I said who had been the coldest all year in terms of the form slump. You're not going to believe this. I asked Jack if Jack Nunes could get 19 2 clearances and 6 contested possessions. He got dropped. He was back on the weekend. He had 19 2 clearances, 7 contested possessions. Now, we're going to run it back. Can he produce the 19 2 clearance 6 possession game against Geelong this week?
He won't get anywhere near the Sharon, mate. Geelong will win that by about 80 points.
All right, we'll lock that in. My second running cold this week.
You're as cold as ice.
It's Paul Seedsman. Now, this might be a bit unfair because usually I find players who've had a little bit of a form slump for a few weeks. He had a good week 2 games ago against the Cats. On the weekend, he had 7 touches, 1 contested possession, no scoreboard impact, 1 mark, 1 tackle, 82% time on ground. That's the worst effort of the whole round for me, from all players. The week before, he had 28 2 goals, 1, 6 marks from the same time on ground, basically. Can he give something back to his mob? When they host the Suns this week, can he get 20 plus, 1 goal, and 3 inside 50s?
Yes, because it's the Gold Coast Suns. I heard he trains well, so match simulation will be good for him.
Jesus, that's brutal.
It's brutal, isn't it?
All right. Now, you're up to 10 froths year to date, mate. It's not a good week from you, so hopefully you can give us a little bit of a better insight and have a better week coming up.
I'm getting scared about my bottle of whiskey on the coaching predictions I had as well, because the Carlton jobs could be anyone's.
Yeah, it's in flux at the moment.
Yeah,
so.
it is. Anyway, Bob, ladies and gentlemen, compare the pair.
Compare the pair.
All right, this week, I reckon I've got a doozy for you, mate, so pay attention. The 2 fellas I've got, 2 young gun mids, Tim Taranto,
Oh.
Josh Dunkley.
Why you do me like this, Bob? You're throwing doggies at me left, right, and
I'm
centre.
going to tell you right now,
Yeah.
you will not enjoy this. This will not be fun.
Okay.
However, I want to know, what's your initial thought before I give you any of the stats?
See, I watch Josh Dunkley a lot closely, and I love the development on him. But I am aware that Tim Taranto is going leaps and bounds this season and is in genuine All-Australian contention. At least the 40-man squad. Unless Dunkley... no. Tim Taranto's ahead of him in those stocks, so...
All right,
we'll see how we go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Age, height, weight. They're all close enough not to matter.
Yep.
Only 6 games of experience separate them. Dunks was pick 25. Taranto's pick 2.
Yep.
Let's start with scoreboard impact. Goal assists, score involvements, inside 50s, essentially identical.
Yep.
Scores for the year, Taranto is up. It's 9 goals 7 to 6 goals 7. The defensive acts. The tackles is really close. Taranto's up 6.5 to 5.9 to Dunks. Total marks are the same. Dunks wins the marks inside 50 and the contested marking just.
Yep.
Stoppages. Centre clearance numbers are identical. Stoppage clearance numbers just go to Taranto, meaning his total clearances are up. It's only 5.1 to 4.4.
Yep.
Possessions. Taranto has 1.5 possessions more per game, but Dunks wins the contested by 2 per game. The inside 50s is 3.7 to 2 in Dunks' favour, but Taranto has a better kick to handball ratio by far. Efficiency. Dunks has 2 more effective disposals per game, but Tim wins the meters gained, 375 to 265. Dunks is much cleaner with the ball. His efficiency is 70%, and Taranto's is only 60. So both of them are young gun mids. Here's the question. Both of them are eligible to be in the best 22 under 22 team this year. So which one of them are you certain makes it?
Tim Taranto. Yeah. I'm going to say Tim Taranto because he is in a much better team. The Western Bulldogs, although Josh Dunkley stood up in some of our more horrid performances as a team, Taranto's a key pillar of their success this year. He's been very, very good, very consistent too. So that's why I'm picking Tim Taranto. But gee, I love Josh Dunkley, and I love the player he is looking to become for us for a very long time. Congratulations to his Josh Dunkley's brother as well, Kyle. He debuted for Melbourne.
Yeah,
on the
well
weekend,
done.
and he looked quite good.
Now, look, I'll give you some of the other mids that might make that best 22 under 22 team.
Yep.
Clayton Oliver.
Yep.
Hugh McCluggage.
Yep.
Jacob Hopper.
Yep.
Sam Walsh.
Yep.
James Warple.
Yes. Oh, I like Warple.
Yeah, the
He's good.
Warpedo is
Yep.
shaping up very nicely. So don't know if both of them make that midfield because it really is only about 4 or 5 midfielders
Yep.
in that team. So I really do think only one of them will make it. To be honest, mate, I went over the stats. I was sure it would be Tim Taranto. Dunkley is a lot closer than what I thought.
Yeah.
A lot closer.
Yep.
I think he does have significant impact in your games. You might be selling your boy short a little bit there, mate.
Oh, I was giving him a bit of a pump.
Oh, he's a quality player, man.
Yeah.
Quality young
Yeah.
player. All right, that's it for my Compare the Pair. Let's just tick over and have a look at what Jack's prepared for Jack's Multi.
Alrighty, Bob. I'm sure all the Fatside punters out there are no longer doing Jack's Multi because it's no good every week. As I say every week, I'm confident this one will get up. Okay, so my first leg, West Coast, head-to-head. I wasn't brave enough to do a margin, but they were $1.37, a little bit of value there. So I've got West Coast to beat the Pies at home. My second leg on the multi is Hawthorn to beat Fremantle in Tassie, 25 plus at $2.30. Very gettable there.
Good price.
Good price. My third leg is we go down to the Cattery. I've got Geelong pumping the Saints 40 plus at $1.62. I don't mind the value. There's some value there, and I just think that they're due a blowout victory on their home deck. My fourth leg is at the MCG, and I'm going to go with how I tipped it. I've got Richmond to defeat the GWS Giants 25 plus on the MCG, where historically GWS are no good at the MCG, and they're missing Tim Kelly and Stephen Coniglio.
Oh, iffy.
Yeah, if he gets up, they're paying $2.37 to get that done, so that's some nice value there. And then I've got Port Adelaide head-to-head, $1.62 at home to get the chocolates. And when you add that all up, ching, 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 $19.59. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, gamble responsibly.
It's a bit more of a conservative one from you this week.
It was, yeah. I'm settling down a bit here.
Yeah, I like the targeted betting
Yeah,
advice, mate. It's
Yeah,
appreciated.
and $1.01, there was no value, but $1.01 that Essendon and North Melbourne will be an absolute blockbuster.
It'll be physical.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
I can guarantee.
Can't wait. I might even come with you, Bob, if I'm invited.
Yeah, we hate each other.
Yeah, there's bad blood, isn't there?
Yep.
Ever since the famous Essendon comeback, really, those 90s battles.
We're going to go through our tips from last week. I got one up on Jackie Boy, who took a couple of risks. You nailed the Brisbane one.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
But the other rolls of the dice, Carlton and the like, they didn't pay off for you, unfortunately. So I had 6, you had 5. That sets us apart by 2 year to date. So you might have to keep rolling the dice this week, mate, as we go into the match preview.
Here we go!
Now, Friday night is going to kick off. This is potentially one of the best rounds of football we are going to have all year.
Oh,
As I go through them.
your game. We'll get to that.
Get ready.
Jesus.
West Coast versus Collingwood. This is second versus third. It's over at Optus Stadium. Who do you have to win this one and why?
I have the West Coast Eagles to win this by 5 goals. Off recent form, I just... there's a twinkle in your eye. I think you might be going somewhere else here. But yeah, West Coast for mine at home. Too strong.
Yeah, no, I'm going to take the Weagles as well.
I thought you were about to tip Collingwood. I saw your little twinkle in your eye there.
Obviously, they're going to respond at some point. I
Yep.
just think they're running into the hottest team in the competition right now,
Yep.
so it probably won't be this week. If they do get it done away from home, be a massive effort, and I'll give them plenty of praise. But Weagles by 22 points for me. Next game, Saturday, it's the Swans versus Carlton. It's 14th versus 17th. Might be a bit closer than what we think. It's at the SCG. Who do you like?
The Swans. Yeah, the Swans will win. Carlton, it'll be close. I think the Swans might win by less than 20 points. It'll be in between 0 and 20 points. Sorry, getting a bit tired here tonight, Bob.
Wow.
But yeah, look, Carlton will take their best efforts, but yeah, Swans too strong in the end.
Alrighty, I'm going to take the Blues. I'm going to
Nice!
I'm going to take the Blues by 2 goals. I think they've found something,
Yeah.
and I think it might be good enough against Sydney. I watched Sydney.
Yeah.
I watched my team beat Sydney.
Yeah.
We were not that good.
Nah.
We wouldn't have beaten a lot of teams that weekend.
Lear, very impressive.
Very impressive. Bit of a different story against Cruiser, though.
Yeah.
Zach Clark is a shadow of a ruckman compared to Matty Cruiser, so should be an interesting
I
battle.
don't think Zach Clark could get a game on our Sunday night basketball team, to be
Oh,
honest.
dear.
Yeah, I'd much rather be playing at the 5.
Next game of the round, it's Hawks versus the Dockers. It's down at the University of Tasmania. Who do you like in this one, Jacko?
Hawthorn comfortably by 6 goals. Need I say no more?
Yeah, no, there's not much to write home about there. It's pretty obvious Hawthorn are in form and the Dockers are completely out of
It'll
it.
be easily the most boring game of the round too.
I'm going to take the 6-goal margin along with you. The next game, this is a doozy. I don't know why it's not at a later time slot. Essendon versus North Melbourne, 9th v 10th. Both playing at home, technically. It's Marvel Stadium, 4:35. Who do you like?
I don't have an inkling or an idea or absolute... I don't know.
Me either.
I don't know. Oh, God, I don't know. North. Sorry, mate. I think they're just going to be harder at the contest. And I just think they'll beat you at contested footy. And I think Ben Brown might kick a winning score. I don't know.
Wow.
A winning score. Yeah, well, if he kicks goals, it would add to a winning score.
It'd be interesting if you said, I think North Melbourne will win because they'll kick the most points. That would have been a great prediction. Look, I don't like doing this, but I'm going to tip North Melbourne.
Yeah.
Oh, you're about to go blasphemous.
Like I said, I think they're in better form than my team, to
Yeah.
be honest. I think Goldie will destroy whatever we put up against him in the ruck. And yeah, I like North Melbourne's work in and around the contest a little bit more than my team. However, Ben Brown may not have a very good chance to kick goals against our backline. So it'll be tight. I'll take North by under 2 kicks. Next game of the round, it's the Suns versus the Crows at Metricon Stadium, 18th versus 8th. Who do you have?
Adelaide Crows, 50 plus.
Yeah, it'd be hard not to take the Crows this week. You'd expect that they'd show some ticker. The Suns they're done. You know, they're going to stay down the bottom for the rest of the year, you'd think. I'll take Adelaide by 40 points. Saturday primetime, it's Geelong versus St Kilda. This should be a bit of a snooze fest. It's down at GMHBA Stadium. How much do you have Geelong to win by, Jacko?
I have them winning by about 12 goals. I think they'll smash the Saints.
Jesus, that's a thumping. I reckon the Saints might show something and they might try and stay in the fight. North put 40 on them in the first quarter pretty comfortably, but they didn't let the margin blow out past that. I'm thinking that Geelong might not put their foot down until the second or the third, so I'll take a 40-point margin in that as well.
Okay.
Next game, this is a doozy. Richmond versus the Giants at the MCG. Who do you like in this one?
Richmond, and I think they'll win by about 6 or 7 goals at the MCG.
Yeah, it's a fair tip. I've taken GWS 2 weeks in a row now, and they have let me down terribly. I'm loath to pick them again, so I'm going to roll with the Tigers. They look like they've got some hunger and some fight and some spirit.
And they're getting players back slowly. Like, they're looking much better.
I'll take the Tigers by 20 points in that one. Then we've got your boys. It's the Bulldogs. They're up against the Demons at Marvel Stadium on Sunday afternoon. Where are you going with this one, mate?
We will win our 3rd game in a row. Loving what I'm seeing, and I think, look, Melbourne just got across the line against Carlton, and they were good, but I think, well, we're a better team than Melbourne this year. Yeah, the Dogs too strong at Marvel Stadium.
Yeah, I'll take you boys as well, but not by a hell of a lot.
And I just feel Bulldogs are getting that belief that finals is not a pipe dream as it was 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think you guys will play
Certainly.
this week like it's a qualifying final.
Yeah.
Like you'll really, really crack in. So Yeah, I've got you guys to win by 4 goals or more.
Yeah, and we're going to be extra inspired this round as well because it's the 30 years on from the 89 fight back to save the Footscray Footy Club. So, yeah, and we're wearing our old school jersey as well. So that'd be good fun.
Oh, that's nice, mate. My club's never had one of those. Now, the last game of the round.
You're a disgrace.
Filthy animal.
This is a barn burner, I reckon. Port Adelaide versus Brisbane.
This could be game of the round.
7th versus 4th,
Yeah.
although it's at Adelaide Oval. Who do you like in this one, mate?
Port Adelaide. I like Port Adelaide. It's a second road game for the Brisbane Lions.
Didn't you say they just arrived?
Yeah, they arrived, but Port Adelaide at home.
Fascinating.
They've arrived because they're playing finals no matter what.
Yeah.
However, Port, these next few games are elimination finals themselves. They're qualifying finals, sorry. So, yeah, Port will scrape and fight till the death to get the 4 points, and I think they'll win by probably a goal or two. It'll be a really, really tight game. I've got a feeling you're going the opposite direction.
No, I'm going to go with Port
Okay.
because, like your mob, I think they've got a lot to play for. If they lose this game, they could be out of the 8 by the end of the weekend. They won't want that after having such a stellar performance in the showdown. I think they'll want to keep themselves in the 8 and keep the belief alive. So I reckon they'll claim this one. I'm going to say that they win by 15 points. So that wraps up all the matches to come for round 17.
And look, Bob, just before we sign off tonight, it's been another great show, mate. What are you looking forward to the most this week?
I'm looking forward to the potential for there to be multiple classics happen across every day that football's being shown. Friday night could be a classic, Essendon North could be a classic, and Sunday we could get 2 classics, Richmond Giants and Port and Brisbane. So,
Nice.
what about yourself, mate?
Look, I can't look past Port Adelaide Brisbane. This is going to be a game of football. I can't wait. Sunday twilight. Probably miss it. We've got basketball. But look, I'll definitely watch the replay. Can't wait to see Brisbane prove my tip wrong. I really won't care if they prove me wrong because I've been rather bullish about them all year and really happy to see their progress. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most. Bobby, your worst case scenario.
Oh, worst case scenario. Scott Pendlebury to get caught on his mobile phone checking his quaddie while drink driving on the way to the game.
Cannot be serious!
The hypocrisy would be ridiculous.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, and maybe his wife would be up for grabs. Anyway, we'll move on.
What about you, mate? What do you have as your worst case scenario for the weekend?
My worst case scenario is the Pies get absolutely rammed by the Eagles. Like, I'm talking 40, 50 plus. That'd be like a shellacking. That is my worst case scenario for round 17. If they get absolutely smacked over there,
Yeah, there'll be too many questions and no answers.
way too many questions, no answers, and I'd almost rule them out for any flag hope, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
At
yeah.
that point. Last week, I still thought they were a legitimate grand final contender
Yeah.
despite the loss.
Yeah.
That's wearing thin.
Yeah, and my other doomsday scenario, I've got a double. Watching a minute of Hawthorn Fremantle. Anyway, that's all we got time for tonight, Bob. It's been an absolutely fantastic show, and it's been a pleasure to sit here with you again. Big announcement this week. We're doing a double pod. We've got the Global Podcast. We'll be deep diving into everything coming out of England in the ICC Cricket World Cup, and hopefully we have our cricket guru Josh Murray jump onto the pod. And Bobby, what else are we going to tackle, mate?
Oh, we've got the man from America, Tim Smith. He is coming to drop some pearls of wisdom about the NBA free agency landscape.
Unbelievable. It's been an unbelievable week in world sport. But anyway, Bob, we'll see you in a couple of nights for the Global, mate.
Absolutely. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you stay tuned for when that content drops. Scroll down, subscribe, hit the bell, and get ready because here she comes. You can hear her coming. It's the fat lady.
Go Dogs. Good night.
And that is it.